Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. In our maps, our Shastras, many times a comparison is made in reference to describing God. What is this comparison? That it is easier to count the drops of water in the ocean than to count the glories of God. That it's easier to count the grains of sand on earth than the glories of God. Recently, I came across an article which captivated me. And this article shared how many ants, A-N-T-S, how many ants there are in the world. Because as a child and even as an adult, in a small area, there's hundreds, thousands of ants. And you think to yourself, how many would there be in the world? So scientists have properly estimated that there are 20 quadrillion ants in the world. Now you're all pretending like you know what 20 quadrillion is. So what you should do right now is you write the numeral 2 and then add 16 zeros after that. That's what 20 quadrillion is. And to give you one more reference from the article I read, it's not like I did this research. If all of the ants in the world were put together, they would outweigh all of the wild birds and mammals on this earth. Think of the elephants, think of the polar bears and so on. Ants outweigh all of them. Why am I sharing this with you? Meaningful Mornings is a workshop to train us to stop thinking about ourselves so much. That we're so inconsequential when it comes to the number of ants in this world, and on and on and on. Bhagavad Gita's chapter 8 has a special place in this 18-chapter arrangement because it focuses on krama mukti, which means following freedom slowly. And when we went through chapter 8, slowly actually is forever. It takes forever to follow freedom through this path. Shri Krishna feels that we may have forgotten the message of chapter 8, so he's bringing it back in verses 19 and 20. I'm sorry, in 20 and 21. In verse 20, I'm just going to read it in English now. He shares, the knowers of the 3 Vedas, the drinkers of Soma, purified from sin, worshiping me by sacrifices, pray for the way to heaven. They reach the holy world of the God of gods and enjoy in heaven the divine pleasures of the gods. A lot of these terms are cultural terms like drinkers of Soma and the world of the God of gods. What Shri Krishna is sharing in summary here, it is those who feel they can create joy. What is shared here is just different combinations and permutations of the manipulation of articles, beings, and circumstances. That's it. These are cultural terms, yes, but this is what the more universal import is us feeling we can create joy. Another way to express this is us feeling that we are the doer. In our parenting culture space, I'd shared in our last space, when parents do not understand the role of vasanas or prince, then they feel they're the doer. When they feel they're the doer, then they express this as being the controller. They micromanage. When I asked all of the parents, we have almost 50 cameras, so many couples are studying together. And it's cool because it's not just parents, it's caregivers. I had asked all of them, how many of you are micromanagers? And almost all of them had their hands up. Which means they're controllers, which means they're doers, which means they feel they're the creator. Shri Krishna keeps sharing, he is the creator through creation, but some feel they are the creator. We are immersed in a subjective science. And this too can be a loaded phrase for some. A subjective science means you have to experience this. If you're thirsty right now and I drink water, that doesn't help your thirst. If you're thirsty, you have to experience this. Happiness is even more intimate, the most intimate. If you're unhappy, you have to experience happiness. Any indirect path or methodology has not worked for us, is not working for us, and will not work for us. Shri Krishna introduced this in verse 20. He puts closure to this in verse 21. Te tam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam kshine punye martyalokam vishanti evam trayi dharmam anuprapannaha gata gatam kama kama labhante. Simple explanations of these words. They, those who feel they are the creator of joy. Tam bhuktva swarga lokam vishalam, in that large dimension of heaven, tam bhuktva, in that they enjoy. I'm saying this with an E, enjoy. They have super sense organs that are interacting with super sense objects. So they enjoy. For how long? Kshine, which means exhausts. Punye. Whatever took them to that heavenly dimension, that is being worn out. And when it's worn out fully, martya lokam vishanti, they enter or re-enter the dimension of martya, where one dies. Here, where one dies, the more universal implication is where there is change. That is the human dimension, what we are living in. There is change, there is death, there is birth. Then what did they do? They put in effort in an indirect way to be joyous. They were able to experience heaven, super sense organs, super sense objects. Now they've come back to our dimension and they do it again. Evam trayi dharmam anuprapannaha. They follow anuprapannaha, the trayi dharmam, what is taught in the three Vedas, how carefully Sri Krishna is using the word Veda and not Upanishad. The Veda, in that there's so much content on rituals that teach one how to be successful. They do not teach one how to be peaceful. And the last quarter, Gata Gatam. They follow this. Where do they go? Back to heaven. Where do they come? Back to earth. Where do they go? Back to heaven, back to earth. Gata Gatam means this state of coming and going and coming and going. And why do they do that? Kama, kama. They keep desiring this and desiring that. Labante. And they get it. They desire this, they get it, that wears out. So then they desire that, they get that, that wears out. They forgot about this, so now they are back to desiring this, that wears out, they desire that, that wears out. That doesn't describe you, yes? This they is not you, correct? They, your spouse, your neighbors, and so on. Yesterday in our open home, which is a lovely experience, many of you did not join us, and I wish that you did. In our open home, I had defined samsara. Technically, it means that which slips away, but more personally, I define this as that which makes you dependent and then makes you insecure. What is samsara? That's being described in these verses. Most practically, it makes me dependent and then insecure. Those who are stuck in samsara, it is because they do not understand change. They do not understand articles, beings, and circumstances. They do not have jnana. But then logically, one would think it is because they have ajnana. They are ignorant. I actually feel that's a gentle word to describe those who are living like this. The more real word is they are apathetic. Who here doesn't know that articles, beings, and circumstances are always dying? Who here doesn't know that you can never hold on to them? They're always slipping away. So depending on them, which makes us feel insecure, that's obvious. And to still live like that is not ignorance. It is apathy. I hope you've realized that today is the first day of autumn and that we've now been together for 11 seasons. We started on the first day of spring in 2020. We are now in the first day of autumn of 2022. That's 11 seasons. Over the past 11 seasons, have your desires changed? Have they evolved? Are you desiring divinity? The next verse, verse 22, is a verse that will create ease in our minds forever. Be ready for this verse. From inspiration to application, your application for the past 3 days was to join in, invite friends, spread cheer, all relating to our open home. In our open home, I had shared that Shri Krishna describes a tree of samsara. This will come later in chapter 15. And that our community, specifically our crew, who I mentioned by name individually last night, for the past 60 years, whatever, we have been investing in self-development in a most inclusive way. So inclusive that we're doing this virtually. We have been using Zoom for more than 6 years now. This investment in self-development through dynamic courses, communities, collaborations is cutting down this tree of samsara so that we feel more secure, more independent. I challenged everyone who joined us for our open home, those who are new, that 1% of the time you have every week should be dedicated to self-development. Those who are a part of our community, that 0.5% of your time every week should be dedicated to self-development, as in to give more time. Those are some of the insights in our open home. Your application for this morning, I want you to reflect on and write about on our website, what are some significant wants in your life that never manifested? Significant wants that you never got. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.